Evening, folks. Welcome back to the channel. And smash that like button right meow. You know you're going to have a good time. Do pardon any lag. I'm just getting the chat room set up. Of course I'm on YouTube, but if you have a Twitch handle, you have a chat room that never closes. It's like a 7-Eleven minus the risk for food poisoning. Unless you eat in your chat room. I've personally never gotten food poisoning from any chat room food. Fingers crossed that never happens. That's, is like the line from Braveheart that always sticks with me. Patrick McGowan. So I don't know if I'm paraphrasing this or saying it verbatim, but he says that as king, one needs to see the good in every situation. So if you get food poisoning, that's just a great way to kick off a diet, because it just flushes everything right out of you. And you're kind of starting from scratch, unless it's the kind that, puts you in the hospital, then sorry about that. I've never had that kind of food poisoning. I've just mostly had the just not feeling well for a few days and just extra trips to the restroom. You know how it is. Oh, man. I don't know what the temperature is outside. I think it's about 75 in here, give or take. It just, it feels okay now. Watch, I'll feel cold by the end of the show. Yeah, it is, but be careful. The Mercury is retrograde, so that started on the 26th, and we've got that going on until March 20th, so basically all of the rest of Pisces here. That just means it can affect communications. For example, last night the Wi-Fi went out for, it feels like forever, but it was probably only 5 minutes. I realize that's what it is now. At the time, I'm just trying to watch this video and get sleepy, man. What the fuck? And it was that's what that is. It affects communication, so if you're gonna have trouble just out of nowhere with your phone, computer, or anything electrical, that's what's gonna do it. It also affects communication, so you just have be more mindful of it. Yourself, like read everything twice, because it just makes everybody more inclined to not absorb all the words that we're reading, so we misinterpret things. It happens to me too. It's I'm not above it at all. It's a thing that can happen. Just be mindful of that. So you read something the first time, you're like, what did I say? And then you read it, like, oh, I missed some commas. Oh, okay, they didn't. So it's that can happen. I wish it didn't last so long. And it's like, fly when the sun's in a water sign. That's not the best time for me either, but it's fine. So if you're again, your electronics act weird, that's what's causing it. You get a weird like people just don't seem to, when you're typing or writing really fast and then you read it back and you realize you left out a word. That's more likely to happen too, and then that causes misunderstandings. So just, read everything twice. Don't, if you're the type to fly off the handle after reading one comment, curb that a little bit for almost a month here, and to avoid that. Or sometimes it'll just make funny typos and you can laugh at people when they type something wrong. Oh, what's up, Dandy? Glad you made it. Said, hey, Nikki, I'm actually here tonight. Yeah. I hope they're keeping your spot at the bar, keeping your seat dry over there. The bartender's calling you up, like, are you coming in tonight? I doubt they're that hard up for cash. I'm sure it's a riot anytime you're in there. Do you always go to the same place, or do you have like a few bars in the area that you hit up. Like, okay, the first week I'm going to go here, second week of the month I'm going to go there. Been a bit, LOL. Yeah, that's okay. We're always here. These always stay up. I've only ever had one video taken down, so that's okay. I wasn't looking for this because I kind of don't care. Once you, I'm the type when I leave a job, it's the same when I break up with somebody. I sort of just, my brain just automatically forgets a lot of stuff, so I don't remember, say, like what my hours were, what my break time was, what my sign-in number was, things like that. But I realized that, was it yesterday? It would have been yesterday. It's been 2 years since I left my last job. I just remember that because it was a leap year, so I didn't even make it up until February 29th. I was just done. Well, they locked me out of my computer, which was rude, but they did a lot of rude things there, and I was, again, like I had mentioned before, they said that, oh, if you leave the job, we'll put in your final paycheck any of the sick time, days off, vacation time that you didn't take. That sounds like a lie. I knew it was, so I started taking a whole bunch of days off in like January, February, whenever I realized I wasn't going to be staying at that job because I couldn't take it anymore. And then I got my last check and I had a few days left and it sure was not on there. So don't lie to me. For a place that dealt with finances, they were very bad at math. I worked the exact same, I worked 40 hours a week. I never worked any overtime. I never got any, I mean, sometimes we got bonuses, but it was just for, say if you worked on Christmas, you got a time and a half or a double time, something like that. But again, that was rare for me. I didn't like working holidays because the customers were extra assholey. So if I'm working 40 hours a week, no fluctuations, then there's no reason why my paycheck every single week shouldn't be exactly the same. But it would fluctuate a few pennies or a few dollars, whatever it was. That doesn't seem like it's on the up and up to me. And it's not. Totally shady company. I'll probably tell you all about them one day. I really hope you don't do business with them. So let me check out the recap that I wrote for my last review episode this morning. My channel. Am I live? I'm live. This says I am. That's cute. I go to my own show, and the first recommended video underneath it is Dark Shadows from 2012, the Johnny Depp one. It says buy or rent. Don't pay don't pay YouTube to watch movies. See if it's on Tubi or one of the other free streaming apps. Like YouTube doesn't get enough money from people. But yeah, to recap my last review episode, it was Dr. Guthrie, Joe, and Frank went and opened Laura Radcliff's grave. And surprise, surprise, it was empty. Same with Laura Stockbridge's grave in the tomb where the caretaker lives. Kind of creepy for him that we don't see a bed, but he lives in there. He's a weird guy anyway. But then they leave, and the caretaker's by himself, and he remembered there was something about Laura Radcliff, an extra detail about her death, and he looked it up, and it was that when she died, she had her son with her in her arms, and his name was also David. And then not way later on, a couple days later, Dr. Guthrie confronted Laura, and then she found out that he was driving to the Collinsport Inn to go pick up his notes. So he's driving on the way back. It's everybody's got their brights on. He can't see. His car speeds up. His brakes don't work. Crash. And we see a car flipped over, flames coming up out of it, and cut to Laura looking super smug, sitting by her fireplace. So that's how she works her magic. Through any fire, it seems like, but that's why her fireplace is going all of the time. That's where she gets her power from. Uh, to equate it to Final Fantasy VII, that would be like her Phoenix Materia, or Fire 3, something like that. Or Flare. Flare's a good one. And we have 1,060 episodes to go. Oh, I do have super chats. I've got Venmo, I've got Buy Me a Coffee. Both of those go directly to myself. You're not paying for AI content. I'm not spending it on hookers and blow. Your money stays in the United States. I read your comment live at my very next show. So if I get a comment in between shows, like Dandy's done that before, it was just completely in between shows, get a super chat. I read it at the next show, so he got to be part of the show with the comment that he left. That's there if you got a few extra bucks. I understand money's tight, but if you can send it my way, it does help me out. In the middle of a move and all. And if not, no worries. I'm certainly not the type to judge people based on how much money they are currently giving me. Everybody is the same. We're all friends. We're all good people. And it means just as much to see everybody here and leaving comments after the fact and leaving likes and having the support that way. It means as much to me as, cash. So it's not that anybody has more value based on whatever they're sending my way monetarily. I'm feeling the love, so that's that's certainly enough. Andy says Dark Shadows was on a lot longer than I realized. Yeah, it was on for 5 years, and just saying 5 years doesn't sound like a lot. Um, when you first start and you see that the episode count is 1245, it feels like, oh my god, how did they show up every day for that? But it's a 5-day-a-week show. They're only half an hour, so they are short. They go by fast. And like right now, it seems like there's a whole lot to go. But by the time I got to the end of it, I'm like, why am I at the end of it? Why is there not more? They could have kept going. They could have. Why? Why did it stop here? I don't know. I want more of this. So I guess that's why that they ended up doing movies and tie-in books and spin-offs and conventions, because the fans clearly did want more. But I'm sure after doing a show for 5 years, some of these folks were on the show 4 years almost solid, they might want to do something else, or they're probably bored with it. Maybe they want a vacation, maybe they got family. So I understand at a personal level, but as a fan, I don't. But that's okay. It all still exists. We're very lucky to still have this stuff around. There's really only one missing episode, and they sort of fill it in for us. It's sort of, if you've ever listened to a radio program from, say, the 30s or the 40s, you just use your imagination, and they've got stills on the screen, so you're not really missing out. And it's at a point that we know the characters well enough by then. We know where the camera's going to be for the shots, that you can almost visualize where the actors are standing, how they're gesturing, where they're looking. So you really don't miss out on too much. It's an interesting episode. And you can watch all of this for free on Tubi right now. Link in the description for the show and for the channel. There's also a link to watch it on Internet Archive. Internet Archive won't tell you the episodes that they didn't shoot, so if you go to look up episodes on the Dark Shadows wiki, they will be a little bit off. You'll be able to figure it out. It's not like it's not like there's missing episodes, and that's why the number count is off. It just seems that maybe shows just didn't pay that close to attention to episode counts back then, because they figured, hey, we're going to film it and air it once, and nobody's going to care about it again, and they just couldn't foresee like reruns and DVDs and YouTube channels that would review it almost 60 years in the future. Not saying I'm the first person to review Dark Shadows. Maybe other people have, but I literally have not looked it up. Some people seem to have reviewed the entire series as a whole and maybe a few hour-long video. Haven't watched that. I don't want to copy anybody else. Like episode counts, I'm just counting myself, keeping track of the days. If they don't match up with what's on the Dark Shadows wiki, I don't care. I don't care where they're getting their numbers from. It's like, well, they're wearing different clothes, and that character said yesterday, so that means it's the next day. So that's what I wrote down. It's all good. It's all good. All right. So the last thing we did see was nighttime. A car flipped over, flames coming out of it. Might have been fun to film, but it's really scary for the character because we know Dr. Guthrie is in there. He certainly did not have time to jump out. I don't know if he was thinking about that. I'm sure if he tried, the doors would have been locked. So we open on episode 186. This aired on March 13, 1967. And it is still day 43. It's nighttime. And this happened before. I told you there must have been an earthquake up in Maine that we didn't know about because we see the establishing shot for the old house, and it's just like somebody's off to the side, and they're it's just that jittery shot. Like you can't lay it down to film, but somebody has to actually hold it. It's like things are supposed to be serious, and they're given this shaky shot that's very funny. It kind of takes us out of it for a second, but that's okay. Maybe it's windy. I don't know. But we see the old house. And we get a better, proper shot of the porch with the doors. We can see the windows there. And then we're inside in the drawing room, and Victoria is impatient. David was not liking having to wait around. Sam didn't want to show up anyway, so he's kind of on edge. And now even Victoria is getting just... The waiting is getting to her, too, so they must have been there for a while. And Sam's kind of putting it together. He's like, wait, that picture of Josette, he's like, she's the one who threw herself off the cliff, isn't she? And this was her house. David says, yeah, she still lives here. Then we jump to a shot of... They refilmed this with Dr. Guthrie. He's driving, his car is speeding up. And the brakes don't work, and he wrecked, so we get to re-experience that. Like it wasn't scary enough. But jump back to the drawing room. Sam is impatient. That's as much small talk as he has. He wants to go. Everybody's tired of waiting. Jump back over to the car. We get another really good shot of this car. Just because the first time we see it, it kind of just looks like it wrecks, and then there's flames. Now we're getting a little bit better shot of it. It's upside down. Like tires are spinning. Flames coming out the bottom. It's bad. It's really bad. But now we're over in the Blue Whale. And Joe plays a song on the jukebox. They've got the same sort of round of songs on there. Once we hear a different song, but it's mostly the same type of music coming out of that thing. They've got their favorites. But Burke walks in. And he says to Joe that Victoria said, you helped Dr. Guthrie open 2 graves. of a couple ladies, both named Laura Murdoch. Joe says, Victoria wouldn't have told you that. Why did she tell you? Burke tells him, well, to keep David away from Laura. So just then the phone rings, barman answers it. He's like, Haskell, it's for you. So Joe, oh, that's probably Maggie saying she's got to work late. So he gets on the phone, and we don't hear Maggie. We're just getting Joe's reaction, but he's, what happened? He's dead? So he's saying this to, he gets off the line. He's in shock. So he's saying this to Burke that Dr. Guthrie's car crashed on the highway and it burst into flames. He died instantly. At least he didn't suffer. Oh my God. R.I.P. to him. Just drink. That's our third death on the show. Like, I don't recall seeing Doris. I don't know if he could have crawled out of that, but he didn't feel any pain. Burke wants to know how he knows this, and Joe says, well, a couple of highway troopers were in the diner talking about it. Maggie overheard it, so she just called Joe. Then Joe's like, wait a minute, Victoria, David, and Sam are waiting at the old house for Dr. Guthrie to show up and do another seance. He's like, I can't believe this is an accident. So Joe runs out, and if Burke hears that Vicky's involved, of course he's going to want to go with them, so they both take off. Oh, you know what, Dandy? I did look up the episode that you mentioned. What was it, like March 4th, 1969? I want to say it's something like episode 702, and wouldn't you know, I'm pretty sure I don't have notes for that yet. I've got notes on about 80% of the show, but I think that's what, like, I took notes up to episode like 600 something, but then originally I started with about episode 8 or 900. So it's like I can look up the episode number and the synopsis. Yeah, okay, yeah, I got the date right. I remembered. I personally don't have notes on it yet, and when you look up an episode on the Dark Shadows wiki, like, they're not going to mention every single little thing. It is more, they mention some detail, and like flubs and like line mess ups, and like you can see the microphone, but they don't quite mention everything. So we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But yes, there was an episode on that day. It's like, wait, no episode aired that day. What did you watch? Mystery. Oh, what's up, Beach? I'm glad you made it. Oh, that's all right. I said, greetings, though can't stay on for long. Just stopped in to say hi. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, smash that like button. It helps out the channel. Yeah, good to see you. So now we're back at the drawing room. This is nifty. It's a shot from directly above. Like, they moved the... It's underneath the chandelier, but it's like the camera's directly above that table, and then you got the four chairs sitting across from each other, and the two candles in the middle there. So a really cool shot. We don't get shots like that a lot. And Sam's had enough waiting around. He's like, Guthrie's got 5 minutes, and then I'm out. And David, he just wants to explore. He just wants to, walk around the house and look at stuff. Who wouldn't? But Victoria tells him, a seance is a serious thing. And we should just sit and wait quietly. And Sam, he's really just tired of waiting. He's frustrated. Who knows how long it's been since he had a drink. He wants to just get out of there. David's like, wait, do you feel that? It's like a restless wind. But I I can't, really feel it. I just know it's there. And just then they hear a car pull up, and we hear Joe. He's yelling for Vicky, yelling for David. So he walks in. Got, Burke's right behind him. And, they're surprised to see anybody except Dr. Guthrie. Why are you here? Kind of reaction from Victoria. So Joe walks in like, oh, good, I'm glad you're here. Something's happened. Burke's like, Joe, you ever had a tour of this old house here? Why don't you have David take you to have a look around? And at first Joe doesn't get it, but then he's just, oh, yeah, I'd love to see around here. Yeah, come on, David, let's go upstairs. Joe's, you don't get like that. David's all for it, so they head on up the stairs. And this is why they wanted David out of the room. So Burke tells Victoria and Sam that Dr. Guthrie died in a fiery car crash. And Victoria can't believe it. Sam says Laura's responsible. Vicky's really upset. She said he was our friend. He died because he was trying to help us. He was our only hope of saving David. A few minutes go by, that kind of settles in. So Burke starts, yelling for David, like, hey, that's it. Enough looking around. Come back down here. No point in hanging around at the old house to do a seance when Dr. Guthrie's not going to show up, so he just figures they all had to leave. But Victoria says, wait, I still want to do the seance. It may be our last chance to help David. Sam says, then you'll do it without me, and I'm scared. Victoria tells him, well, Josette made contact with you before. Maybe she will again. And Sam still, he doesn't like the idea of this. He just wants to go. So Burke says to him, he's like, no, you listen. David's going to come down those stairs in a couple minutes. You look him in the eye, and then you decide. Sam says, that's not fair. A couple seconds later, there's David and Joe come back down. And when they first heard about Dr. Guthrie, Victoria blew out the candles on the tables. So David goes over there and just, matches right there. He relights them. And Sam's just kind of looking at David. He doesn't know what's happened. He was out upstairs, so they want to help this kid. He doesn't realize the danger he's in, and Sam sort of realizes he's the only one that can, fill out the party for helping out this kid. So let's just get this over with. So then Burke asks if himself and Joe should join in, and Victoria tells them, no, just wait outside and don't come in no matter what you hear. Imagine if Sir Jorah had done the same thing. So those two fellas exit. So Victoria and Sam Evans and David sit down. You gotta, have your hands all, splayed out, so your, pinky's touching the next person. It's just the three of them, though, with the candles in the middle. Victoria tells them, don't break the circle, just concentrate on Josette. So, seance, drink, third one. So as they're sitting there, now it's David. He starts moaning, like he's got something to say, and he does. He's like, I'm David Radcliff. I slept in my mother's arms. Then the curtains blew against the candles, and there's fire. But I don't want to run. And there'll be another fire in a little house by the sea. And someone will die. Then he yells, "Take me with you!" And he starts crying, just bawling his eyes out. We really don't see David cry like this, but like, dude is friggin' weeping. Just cries and cries, and then he just collapses. Dude just falls out right there on the table. And then we see the drawing room for the credits. It's kind of a spooky episode. It starts out with this guy died. And then the fact that David was affected at the seance, like I was really expected Victoria to have Josette speak through her. But no, the spirit of David Radcliff goes through David, and it's as scary as it was to see Victoria affected during the first seance, it's kind of worse to see it happening with the little kids. So it's creepy. Just checking the audio. I'll be right back over. You're going to ask me to update, aren't you? Oh, you're not? You see the drawing room for the credits. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, great. Just had to take a sip of my lemony water. Oh. That. All right, episode 187 aired on March 14th, 1967. Oh, we're still on day 43. It's nighttime. We're over in the foyer in Collinwood, and the clock is chiming 10 p.m. I guess we don't see it. I must have just had to count the chimes, which sometimes happens. But then we're in the living room with Carolyn came downstairs, walks in there, and she's turning lights on. All the lights are like they're electric lights, and they've got I would say they've got a dimmer switch, but they never turn it to dim. They always like turn it all the way up, so it just turning on the lights and no switches. Everything's a knob. I don't know if lights were just like that back then, but okay. But she gets the lights turned on. Next thing you know, the door's opening up in the foyer. Victoria comes in, and Burke is right behind her carrying David. And David's fine. He's like, I can walk. I'm okay. Burke's like, oh no, it's a part of the service I offer. I'm gonna carry you right up to your bedroom. David, oh, okay, it's up the stairs. Turn left at the corner. Like you ever have a cat that just likes to be held? It's like that. I'm sure his dad never carries him around anywhere, so that's just fun for him. Oh, what's up, John Rogers? Glad you made it. Yeah, smash that like button. So David gets upstairs. We hear them. They're kind of like chattering away, going up the stairs, going up the across the way through the door. But they're out of earshot, and Carolyn asks, what happened? Victoria tells her bad news. Dr. Guthrie is dead. He was in a car crash about an hour ago, and it burst into flames. Carolyn says, another death by fire. What happened to David? Victoria tells her we did the seance, and David became David Radcliff, and it was a warning that David's in immediate danger. So just then Burke comes down, and he says that David's ready for bed, and he mentions something about hot chocolate. So Victoria's like, yeah, I'll, tell Mrs. Johnson to make it for her. So she leaves the room. So Carolyn asks if Burke wants anything, and it's like, yeah, like a cognac. So she's, bar's right there, help yourself. Burke's like, hey, it's been one of those nights. Carolyn asks, how did you get involved? Burke tells her that he was at the Blue Whale when the news came in, and they went to, he and Joe went to the old house, and he says they stayed for the seance. Sort of implies that he was part of it, but he was outside for it, but he says that his values are changing. He can't believe that Laura is capable of what's happened. But then he says it's time to do something about her. Now we're upstairs. We're in the hallway. Like Victoria's room is back there, and then David's room is up here. So it's that hallway there. And she's carrying some blankets from her room over into David's room. And so we're in David's room. He's in bed and got his jammies on. David asks her, what happened at the seance? He remembers calling for Josette, and all of the sounds of the voices in the room became echoes. And he was moving fast. That he started to hear a voice he had never heard before calling his name. And Victoria's really trying to gaslight him here. She's, oh, well, you must have fallen asleep and dreamed it. So David says again that he does want to be with his mom, because whenever he walks into a room here at Collinwood, everyone stops talking and asks him how he feels. So he's going to tell his mom to take him away. Sick of everybody acting so friggin' mysterious every time I walk into a room. So I'm going to go live with my mom because she never acts that way with me. It's kind of a thing. So down in the living room, Carolyn says that everyone says something should be done about Laura, but no one does anything. She says Laura has no one. Dr. Guthrie cut her off from everyone. So maybe she'll go away. Burke says no, Laura never walked away from a fight in her life. So over in the foyer, doors open up, Roger's coming in. And Carolyn meets him in there, and she's like, yeah, I've got some bad news for you. And Roger says, I know, it's all over Collinsport. So they walk into the living room. Roger sees Burke, like, oh, you're here. And Joe filled me in, and thanks, but I don't shock easily. And this is like one of the rare times we see Roger being remorseful. He's saying that all Dr. Guthrie wanted to do was help, and it's like he super low key regrets being a dick to him. This is super rare, and I really do think he's being sincere. Yes, Roger's good at being a dick, but it's like he doesn't always mean it. So okay, he has a little bit of a heart. Good for him. But he turns right to the wet bar and pours himself a drink. And he's saying that, well, since Dr. Guthrie blamed Laura for everything, he'd probably blame his own death on her too. So Burke tells him that Guthrie was going to say what he knew after the seance. And Laura knew it and stopped him somehow. And I think she put Liz in the hospital. So Roger says he wonders who's going to be her next target. So then Burke says, you know what? How about we call a truce on this whole revenge thing between us until all of this is sorted out? Roger's like, well, it's your vengeance trip. It's up to you to call the truce on it. So Burke agrees. Like, oh, okay, I'll lay off on all this revenge stuff. We got to get Laura sorted out. For now, nothing's permanent. Carolyn says, not even death. I don't know, man. Hang on to that. But Victoria comes in and she lets them know that David's confused. He can't really remember what just happened at the seance. And she admits she doesn't know what Dr. Guthrie wanted to do next. It was all in his notes, and those got burnt up in the fire. He didn't save it on his phone or his laptop or nothing. Didn't tweet about it. They're just gone. And he did play everything very, close to the vest. He told people what he thought they needed to know, but you got the feeling he knew a lot more, but he's just giving people what they need to know. And yeah, that's good until you get killed in a fiery car crash, and now look where they are. And Burke does let them know, yeah, those notes were destroyed in the crash. So Victoria tells them that all they have to go on is what David said. And that was that he begged Laura to take him with her, and he spoke of a house by the sea and then yelled fire. It was a vision of the past and the future. And she thinks he saw his own death. Oh, that's scary. So Burke says, well, we'll have to take David away and tell Laura she has to go. You know what? David would go with me if I said we were going on a fishing trip. So, let's tell him that. Victoria says, you do it now. I feel like there's going to be another fire. Bad vibe. She's got a creepy feeling. So we're up in David's room. David has his hot chocolate. We can't tell what's in the cup, but these are seriously the mugs from the police department. What are the mugs from the police department doing, Collinwood? But that's the cups. They're just a dark colored mug with these really thick stripes, sort of evenly spaced, a vertical stripes going all around it. Why do I know those cups from? What did Roger get a souvenir the last time he was locked up overnight because of what Vicky said? But getting too far into it. But he's got hot chocolate there in bed. And Roger and Burke come in, and they're being super nice to him. It's almost a little bit creepy when Roger's being nice to his own son, even though he should be, but not overly nice, but he's just being like the way a normal father would be with his son if he really cared about him. So it comes off as kind of weird. But they're up there, and well, they come in, and David tells them that he is going to tell his mother that he wants to leave with her. Burke says, "Oh, well, that's too bad. See, I was going to go on a fishing trip tomorrow morning, and I kind of thought you'd like to go with me." David's like, "Really?" Burke's like, "Yeah, I was going to go to this, there's this log cabin. I forget if he says, it sounds like it's maybe upstate somewhere. Or no, wait, you can't really go much farther upstate in Maine. Maybe it's on the border, but it's not in town, but it's somewhere where there's a log cabin, and they've got 2 canoes, and the only way to get there is in a seaplane that lands on the lake." David's like, "Really? I can't. I gotta see my mom tomorrow morning." So Burke really talks up the fishing, like, "Oh, they've got these kind of fish you can catch there, and got bunk beds we can sleep in," and just it kind of makes me think of The Edge minus the plane crash. Spoilers. It's like, I would have to leave in the morning. I really wish you could go. I know you wanted to go on a fishing trip with me, and Roger's like, "You know what? Well, why don't you go, David? Because even if your mom is going to leave town right away, it would take her a couple of days to get packed. So you'd have time to go up there for a couple of days and come back and be back in time for her to leave town." So David's like, yeah, I will go." He wanted to go on that fishing trip with Burke anyway, so that's so cool. Go on that fishing trip, man. It sounds fun. So he's for it. We're down in the living room, and Victoria's got that one photocopy paper, that newspaper that's talking about Laura Radcliff's death. And she's just staring at it, reading it. Something about it bothers her. And that's right when Roger and Burke come down, and they tell Carolyn that David agreed to leave with Burke. Victoria says, "No! The date Laura Radcliffe died was 100 years ago tonight. So something's going to happen to David tonight." And then we see a shot of David up in his bedroom, and dude is just sound asleep, not a care in the world, no idea his life's in danger. And then we had this before, but it's a shot of the foyer, but up on the second floor where there's the walkway across there with the banister, and then the door to go to the rest of the house. That's the credits shot. Oh, cool. This was a surprise to me too. So we're up to another 3-disc recap. This is I go by the discs from the DVD box set. You're not gonna so these aren't exactly every 27 episodes apart. I mean, they might be now, but they won't be in the future. So this covers discs 19 through 21. So this is just everything from, just sort of touching on everything between from episode 162 to 187. I blew through these so fast the first time I watched them that I had to make a little note about every character just to keep my head straight about what everybody's doing. Cool. So this is when I really started to figure out that Maggie is a gossip because her dad never tells her anything. All she does is just worry about her dad and work and look cute with her hair flipped up at the ends and her little outfits. So they get by, but they're certainly, again, not the type of family that can, say, go on vacation for a week without really having to save up for it or something. So they're just working class. They're getting by, but I'm sure they'd have more money if Sam didn't spend all of his time drinking. And Sam's hands are still healing, but it burns, so it's gonna take a while for him to get his. So he's left-handed, get his hands back to where they were. So he's stressed out too. His hands are not working. He can't create art. Laura's still around, so he's worried about her. So he's not in a. He's been worse off, but he's still not in a good way. And I do like that Josette's a character. Yes, she's dead. Yes, she's a ghost. But they do almost as much with her as they do with Mrs. Johnson. So it's interesting that a ghost, an apparition that we only see, hazy, superimposed pictures of, is a character on the show. I like that. And Josette likes David. I think it's because she feels sorry for him. He's just a kid. He doesn't understand the spooky stuff going on. I don't know if she can, like, say, see into people's pasts and know what they did, but, here's this little kid whose dad doesn't care for him, and little kids can see, like, small animals, and, well, animals and children can see things that adults can't, so that's kind of her buddy. Yeah, Liz is still up in that hospital in Boston. We haven't seen her for a while, and Carolyn really misses her. You can just tell she's on edge. I think she's doing well with no help. Again, like, her mom gets sick, and Roger's not thinking, let me be here for my niece. He's more worried about what he's in control of because Liz is incapacitated. Just a total dick. And Joe does like to be helpful. You give him a task, he'll do it. He gives it the old college try, back when that meant, actually doing something about an issue. But since he is kind of a messenger boy, he's a little bit of a pushover. Like, you do the task, or he does the task, and as soon as he's done with that, it's like folks are just done with him until they need to ask him for another favor. So they don't really give the guy the respect he deserves. Mrs. Johnson is suspicious of everyone. She just, heads around this big house listening for voices. Just, I mean, like, yeah, it's kind of her job because she works for Burke, but I think even if she didn't, she would still be, listening to people's conversations and gathering information about them. That's just the type she is. Oh, I'd like to say something about it, but I won't. And Laura gaslights everyone, and she just straight up killed an MFer. Damn. I guess you don't get much more evil than that when you start killing folks. And if anybody had any doubts about what her powers can do, well, that's why Dr. Guthrie's off the show. And David doesn't want to leave with her, even though at first he's like, I think I want to leave with her. Ever since the seance, he's more sure about it. He just wants to get out of there with his mom. And now Burke is suspicious of Laura, and Roger's coming around. I think ever since he read that page, that news article, I really think that's what did it for him. Getting lots of good shots of the cottage. We're spending more time at the old house. I like that. It's a nice break to see going from Collinwood, where everything's clean and well lit, to this place that it's a nice building, but just it's cobwebs and broken windows and chairs tipped over and just abandoned house. Again, all the set dressing is great. Now we've got seances and grave robbing and just so many shots of fire. It might be fine for you, but sometimes it's really rough on my eyes. I'll be writing my notes like this, blocking out the screen, so it's just too much movement for my eyes. That's just a me problem. We're seeing less of the donuts on the show. I really would have to go back and look to see the last time. Yeah, not in this notebook. They're one of my favorite characters on the show, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to be on the show anymore. Once they stop showing them, you're never going to see them again. When I first started watching the show, it was at episode 210, and actually the first 2 times I went through it, I started at episode 210, and then the third time I go through, I start at the beginning, and they do have donuts, so that's why I freak out when I see them, because they're not in the other 4 years of the show, and I guess they got written off, but it's just as sad as Dr. Guthrie getting killed in a car accident. Not the donuts, no. Lots of cute clothes. You think you've seen all the outfits, and then they'll introduce another one. Like, I don't think I've seen that before. I know they're all gray, but, what's that color in real life? So it's not like they just made clothes for everybody at the start of the show, and that's all they have to wear. Just every so often they get something different to wear. We're still in this Phoenix Down storyline, and ooh, yeah. I do see why the show was almost canceled, because me personally, I need to see a strong villain to get into a story. I've brought up Turn Washington's Spies, excellent villain. I like the game Final Fantasy VII, really good villain there. He seems unstoppable. I do like villain characters. They're, some of them are just straight up bad. Some of them are just very misunderstood and don't know the right way to go about things. But I do identify with the bad guys. If it's a good, well-written villain. I think that's why I didn't like Final Fantasy VIII, because the villain was so weak. But on the show, the big bad is Laura Collins. And like she is very pretty, but she never comes off as intimidating or threatening, even though she does make threats. It's more her just sort of using her feminine wiles to get her way and to get people to not question her. And then her power is just sitting by the fireplace. Like, I'm not saying she has to, like, mix up potions or anything, or summon creatures, but your superpower is just getting comfy by the fireplace. So it's not really that compelling. And then Dr. Guthrie, while he is their only hope to help David, like, he does come off like an intelligent, guy. He's not just some rando off the street. Like, I think this is going to work, but that's sort of how he is, because he's dabbled in the spooky stuff before. He even admitted he's had some success with seances and other things, but it's not like he knows for a fact this stuff is going to work, and like, oh, if we do this and this, the outcome will be that. So I know because I've done it before. He's doing stuff like we got an 85% chance of this working. We got a really good chance. Like, it really could. It really might. It should. Probably. Most likely. We don't get like these definite. Maybe he needs to come off more cocky and confident, but he doesn't. He just kind of comes off like a nerdy guy who he's done a lot of book learning, but doesn't really have the life experience. Oh, what's up, Brian? Glad you made it. He says, happy Saturday night. Yeah, you too. Smash that like button if you haven't already. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like a lot of the other characters, but as far as the, like the two entities that are butting heads, it's a lady who just likes to sit by the fireplace and a guy who has a lot of theoretical knowledge, so we don't really get something to really focus on. And then we do spend a lot of time with David. And I'm losing stuff. Am I? Where did that go? Oh, there it is. Oh, what's up, Patrick? Glad you made it. I said, hi, Nikki. Hope you're well. Saying hi to everybody. Yeah, not doing good. So far, so good. Just getting, right now, I'm just in the end of the recap for the last 3 discs. So it was, episodes, 162 through 187. So maybe, I don't know, maybe if Laura came off more evil, or if Dr. Guthrie came off as more knowledgeable. Like, even if he pretends to know more than he does, and then privately he sort of doesn't know, that would be okay, but we got a guy who's like, it might work, and a lady who just likes to sit by the fireplace. And a whole lot of David, and while he's a good actor, especially for a kid, he's really annoying. So, I don't know, apparently they didn't. Apparently folks did not want to tune in for that every day, and I don't know what else was on TV at the time. I don't know exactly when they got the word. I believe I read that maybe about a month before the changes came in, they've got a note saying, hey, you've got a month to wrap it up. You're getting the axe. And then, again, they made some casting changes. And then the show ran for another 4 years. So it's, while the writing is good and the idea behind it is interesting, it's just not exactly executed that well. A lot of, people are tuning in to watch this guy in glasses with his theoretical knowledge, and a blonde lady sitting by a fireplace and her son complaining. So, yeah, I see why that was not quite flying with people. But I think with that, if you kind of have to reach a breaking point and do something crazy, and then that ends up turning into a good thing. So they were threatened with cancellation, so they're just like, fuck it, let's try this. And then they did try this, and this ended up being another 4 years of the show. So when your back's up against the wall, sometimes that's when the best stuff comes out of you. When you think you have nowhere to turn and no resources, you're just scraping together what you can. Sometimes that's when you do your best work, like a starving artist, that cliche. You do your best work then. Like how Lady Gaga is doing her best work when she's single and on cocaine. She gains weight and gets with a guy who doesn't want to marry her, and suddenly her work is not as good. Something like that. Oh, Modus, glad you made it. I says that you watched the Johnny Depp movie Dark Shadows. I did. I watched it back in the day when it came out in, I don't know if it was IMAX, but I watched it in 3D. And while the entire movie is 3D, they really only use it in a scene that didn't need to be in the movie at all. They got my money, whatever. But yeah, I did watch it once back in 2012. Haven't seen it since. Like check it out. Don't expect it to be like a I can't pull it out now. Don't expect it to be like is it House of Dark Shadows, the first movie. It's not. Don't expect it to like hold true to the TV show. It is a very much what people in 2012 thought of the 1960s. But it's cute. It's cute. It does have its moments. It's got its stuff that I like. I would watch it again. I'm not saying I'm avoiding it on purpose, but you check it out. It's out there. Maybe wait till you get into the show a little bit further just to avoid any kind of spoilers, because there are characters in the 2012 movie that we are not even on the show where I'm at in the reviews. Don't spoil it for yourself like that. Brian says, I'm finally off work. Woohoo! Nice. Says he's been making money all day. Now time to spend some. Hell yeah, hookers and blow. But yeah, I did see the Dark Shadows movie. It is worth checking out. So, some people straight up hate it, but again, you do kind of have to think of it as its own separate thing. It's not gonna hurt you. There's definitely worse movies you can watch. Moda says, I say happy birthday to the girls just poked out of the soil. 2 7-gallon pots. Oh my god, hello. Happy birthday. You're Pisces. Do a Pisces plant, bruh. He will certainly be tripping balls. Yeah, so Dr. Guthrie wasn't sure about what he was doing, and Laura's powers consist of sitting by the fireplace, lots of time on David. Dark Shadows definitely needed a stronger focus. Plus, personally, I miss Liz, man. I need to focus on her fabulous outfits. What the hell? I don't know what like the actors were thinking. I don't know if Joan Bennett was like, I don't want to be on the show anymore. It's not going anywhere. But it's like, I miss Liz. What the hell? So now we are on to episode 188. This aired on March 15th, 1967. We are on disc 22. It is still day 43. It's nighttime. We are in the living room. Otis said 50 tops each in 2 months. Oh, nice. Right in time for spring. Brian says, hope y'all have your brewskis. I had mine last night. Oh, sweet. Yeah, drink up, drink up. I gotta stay sober for this. But Victoria is saying again that Laura Radcliff died in a fire 100 years ago tonight. And remember the date on that newspaper was October 26, 1867. We found this newspaper from the future. But then Victoria says, I'm sure if we checked, Laura Murdoch Stockbridge died on the same day in 1767. Roger just thinks it's a coincidence. So Burke is still planning on taking David like they just planned. Victoria doesn't want them to tell Laura. She says if you tell Laura to go, she may hurt David tonight. So we're up in David's room. We get another shot of him. Again, he's just sound asleep, not a care in the world. No idea this was going on. Dandy says, I've already got too many flower seeds I don't have room for. LOL. Oh, man. Got a plant up on the roof, man. Brian says, LOL, yeah, Nikki, you have your notes. Oh, definitely. Gotta get that yellow notebook paper with the black pen. I think where I'm at now, I'm at the end of disc 22 personally, so there's no way I would remember enough to talk about this stuff. I barely remember yesterday. So down in the living room, Victoria says, well, wait to tell Laura to go after Burke takes David on that fishing trip. Roger's like, I'd rather tell her now while I'm angry. So he's out the door. You can't stop. So Victoria turns to Burke. She said, well, can't you take David tonight? That date and that old paper is tonight's date. So I was so excited here, I jumped the gun. I thought we had a date. Like a date for the show, but I did jump the gun. So let's just hold off for just a bit with the celebrations. So Victoria decides that she's going to stay up all night and watch over David just to make sure he's out of danger. Burke's like, all right, but I think you're overreacting. So now we're over at the cottage. There's Roger telling Laura that Dr. Guthrie's been killed in a car crash. Laura, how dreadful. I wanted to tell you that I decided to leave. I can't get David, so I'm just gonna go tomorrow morning. I'll get on the bus and take it to Boston. And I'm not going to say goodbye to David. You can tell him whatever is easiest. Roger thought she'd be, bitter. He was expecting to fight with her, but she's just like, oh no, it's cool. I'll just go. So he was expecting a fight, but okay. So he takes off. Over in the living room, Burke is saying that he's going to pick up David at 6:30 a.m. And he mentions it's just a few hours until morning, so it must be the next day by now, so day 44. And Victoria says again she's going to go up and sit with David all night just to make sure. So that Roger comes back. They're all in the foyer now, and Roger is just... Before I could say anything, Laura just said she was leaving. She said it's in David's best interest, and I'll drive her to the bus stop in the morning. Victoria's not buying it. She says she wouldn't leave without David. I don't trust her. Burke says, well, I'm going to go see her right now. I'll know if she's lying. So Burke leaves. Roger says that I think Laura regrets the mistake she's made. She won't say goodbye to David. Victoria says, why is Laura leaving now when David's ready to go with her? This is not adding up for her. Over at the cottage, Burke just barges in. Just all that money he has, you think he would have bought some manners by now, but no. And he's really just there to gloat. He tells Laura, he's like, yeah, a lot of people will be happy to see you go. Me the most. Are you really going? Laura says, yes, everyone's being mean to me, and it's bad for David to see that. You can't believe I've changed. Burke says, I thought you had at first. And she's got a just, tear coming down. Really squeezed one out there. Burke says that he remembers the first time he saw Laura cry was when he told her that he loved her. Laura says, well, now we've run the gamut from love to hate. I'm leaving tomorrow without David or a fight. Burke says, well, I'll say goodbye to you now. There's no room for you in my future. And he leaves. So now we're over in David's room. He's asleep still. There's a tiny clock across the room. It's like there was that portrait up on the wall of his mother, and then there's a clock with a little face. It's just big enough that we can see the time. It's 3 a.m. So Victoria opens up the door. Takes the key out from the inside of the door. Closes it back up. It locks the door from the outside, so he's locked in. So down on the foyer, Burke's come back and he's telling Roger that he's like, I'm sure Laura will leave tomorrow. So they head into the living room. And Victoria's in there, and Roger says, well, there, you heard it. If Burke's convinced, I'm convinced. Victoria says, words don't mean anything to her. Roger says he's got a seat booked for Laura on the bus. Like it's done. Damn. Burke says once she's gone, I won't have to take David on that fishing trip. Bruh! How? See, that's something I would expect Roger to do, promise something and then not take his son. But David has wanted to go on a fishing trip with you for like how many weeks? You just promised you'd go tomorrow, and now you want to break that promise to this kid? What a dick. Yeah, like I don't want to spend 2 days with that kid. Just, that is so fucking mean. But he pours himself a drink. Victoria's like, yes, you still do have to take him. We have to be certain. It's like this, please. Or just, Burke really does not want to. I don't think it's that he doesn't want to hang out with David. He would just rather be doing anything else. So that's why he doesn't want to do it. But like just to make her happy, he's just okay. But Victoria's still worried. She thinks something is going to happen to David tonight. Cannot shake it. She's just that agitated. Now we're up in David's room again. And Laura's there. She wakes up David. He just, appears in his room. David, oh, mother? She tells David, we're going to go away together tomorrow night. And David said he wants to be with her, but he's got this trip to go on with Burke tomorrow morning. Laura says, oh, well, you'll have to tell Burke that you can't go. And he can't know you're going with me. It's a secret. Because your father wants to send you to a boarding school. And David's like, no, I don't want to be sent away. Laura says, well, that's why I want to take you with me. So at 11:30 tomorrow night, Meet me at the old fishing shack, and then we'll go to a wonderful place. So in the morning, you act like you're sick. And don't believe them if they say that I've gone. And David agrees. She tucks him in. And what they do, it's like Laura's tucking him in. And then we hear like the lock in the door, so the camera's got to turn towards the door. Door opens up. Victoria sticks her head in. We hear that clock in the foyer chiming the quarter hour. And then, we see the camera pulls back so we can see David lying in bed and Flora's just not there. And then we see the cottage, the fireplace, brick wall for the credits. Daddy says, how old is this kid? They keep messing with him. LOL. He's 9. You can't promise stuff like that to a 9-year-old and just break your promise. He's a teenager, okay, they can understand shit happens. He's friggin' 9. I'm sure he's never been on a fishing trip in his life. Dude, so then I don't have to take David. After you spend all that time up there just earlier convincing him. Dick move. Man, that's one of the meanest things Burke's done. Damn, man. I sort of see why, but it's like he doesn't see David as a little kid in that moment. He just, like ending a business deal. Dude, this is a child. Dandy, yeah, oh damn, he's too young for this. Like, yeah. It's mean enough to make promises to people and then break your promises, but wow. Like an hour couldn't go by. It's like, oh good, I'm out of that. Dude, man. And he's only doing it, he's only going to take David on a fishing trip because Victoria was just pleading with him. So if he didn't like her so much, he would have been, if Carolyn asked him, he would have just said no. And he's like, no, I'm going to tell David no too. Fuck you guys. But because it's Victoria, okay, I'll take it. Episode 189. Oh, we're still on day 44, but it's morning now. And they mentioned in the intro how it's a cloudy day. You really can't tell with the daytime shots. It could be sunny, it could be cloudy. Like the sky is just pure white. You really can't see clouds. So we'll take their word for it. It's a cloudy day. We're up in David's bedroom. And there's a chair in the back, and that's where Victoria slept. She's just been nodded out in the chair. I remember when my back used to be able to handle that, but that's where she's been the whole night. She just, wakes up, gets up, goes over to David, kind of fixes his blankets there a bit, and that's what wakes him up. But Victoria's like, it's early, get some more sleep. David says, were you here all night? Nothing's going to happen to me, don't be afraid. Victoria says, I'm all right. I'm not afraid anymore. So later on, I believe this is one where David's got a clock in his room. It's not that clock that was back there, like I told you, where the picture of his mom used to be, and there's a clock. This is a different clock. It's bigger. It's clearly meant for the audience to see what time it is. But it's 10:10 a.m. And Victoria's saying, okay, well, get your books out, all this, get ready type of thing. And David says, we're going to have lessons, and you haven't slept all night. And Victoria's like, I'm fine. I just don't want you to fall behind on your lessons. Knock on the door. Mrs. Johnson comes in, just wants to know if they want their breakfast brought up here or if they're going to eat down in the kitchen. And Victoria's like, oh, you can, bring it on up. Oh, and Miss Winters. Mr. Collins said right before he left with Laura that Victoria's like, tell me later. David says my mom left, didn't she? I know she's gone. I don't want to talk about it. So now we're over in the Collins Port Inn in the diner. And Burke walks in, so Maggie pours some coffee for him and for herself. Burke's just saying that he just wanted to see that bus leave with Laura on it. Maggie is glad she's gone. So just then Joe walks in. It's like, was she on the bus? It's like, yeah, she's out of here. But something doesn't sit right with him. He's like, there's something not right with that newspaper. Burke's like, look, that paper said yesterday's date. It's done. I'm going fishing. So he leaves. Maggie's telling Joe that Joe just seems, like he's got something on his mind. Maggie can see that he's worried, so that's why she's saying, like it was last night. Something was supposed to happen. Just forget about it. Like it's bogging you down. Stop thinking about it, man. So, a commercial come back. Maggie's telling him that her dad slept better last night than he's slept in a long time. She's poked her head in his room around 2 a.m. Dude was out like a light. Joe's like, oh man, yeah, well, I was up around 3 o'clock last night, and which was 3 o'clock this morning. It's the same thing. And he's out the door. He's got to go. Because when you say something happened last night, and it might have been after midnight, so it's technically the next day. It's technically morning. That's what he's hung up on. So now we're in Collinwood. We're in the living room, and David has decided that Pete doesn't want to go fishing. He just wants to be alone. Like he's bummed out about his mom being gone. He's just too sad. Kirk's like, well, we can just go out on, the boat today and go fishing. I'll be back before dark because I've got a date tonight, right, Victoria? And this is news to Vicky. You can tell she's been like, but what they're doing to imply the fact that she's been up all night is it's like her hair is just slightly like her hair's down, like it's pulled back, but the rest of it's down, and it just slightly mussed up. It's not quite as perfectly combed as it usually is, like because she just slept in a chair all night. She hasn't thought to run a brush through it. That's the way they're showing that she's sleepy. So you know how it is when you got like shit for sleep the night before, then you got a full day ahead of you, and you got to act like you're not tired. That's the state she's in. Burke's saying, "Well, I've got a date tonight, right, Vicky?" She's like, "I can't." Burke's like, "Sure you can. You'll rest this afternoon, and then we'll go to the Blue Whale for a steak. You need to get your mind off of everything. Mrs. Johnson can look after David." And David doesn't mind this at all. Like, yeah, Mrs. Johnson can look after me. That's fine. So David goes upstairs. He's gonna go get ready because he and Burke are gonna go hang out. Victoria says, go up there with him and watch him every minute. Burke just, okay, just follows David. You gotta watch this kid put his coat on. She's just that paranoid again. Lack of sleep. She's worried about this kid. I get it. Seems like a bit much, but she's kind of going through it. Just think about that steak, lady. So now it's later on, it's nighttime, we're at the Blue Whale, and they've got this, I'm sure you can tell what kind of alcohol it is by the bottle, but it's some kind of dark liquor, but maybe it's some kind of wine, and they've got their, glasses there. I guess they're done with their steaks. But Victoria still looks worried. Like, she's all done up, looks nice, she's brushed her hair and all this, but you can tell, sure, she's just not present. She's got her own worries going on, keeping her entertained. Or like, listen, Mrs. Johnson said she would call if something goes wrong. She hasn't called, so everything's fine. Victoria says, I hope so. She's almost as bad as Liz when Liz gets to fretting and worrying about something. It's almost that similar state. Like, nothing else is getting through. She's just too worried. So now we're up in David's room, and Mrs. Johnson is saying that it's late. David needs to get ready for bed. And David's like, no, I've got to stay up. I need to study. We know how much David hates studying, man. You're not. We know you're lying through your teeth, boy. Mrs. Johnson says that you've been screwing around up here for 2 hours. It's even past my bedtime. It was like, well, Miss Winters wanted me to finish this up before tomorrow. Just please let me finish this one problem, or I won't be able to sleep. And we can see that clock there. It's 10:15 p.m. So David's just trying to think of anything. He's like, well, I didn't eat much for dinner, and I'm hungry. Mrs. Johnson says, you know my rule. No clean plate, no late night snack. Are you trying to get me out of the room? I'm not leaving, and neither are you. She knows he's up to something. They're going at it. So now we're back at the Blue Whale, and Victoria is telling Burke the story about how when she was at the Foundling Home, she won a short story contest, and they wanted her to get up and read it in front of, everybody, including like the folks running the place. So she gets up there and just faints. So Burke says, do you realize you haven't been worried for the last 30 minutes? It's like, don't remind me, man. That kind of like, it brings her back to reality, kind of kills it for her a little bit. He didn't have to do that because just then Joe comes in and he says, oh, Victoria, I'm glad you're here. I don't want to make you worry. Too late. But remember that article said the fire happened last night, meaning the day before? What if they meant this morning? Like 2 or 3 a.m.? Victoria's not 100% convinced, so Joe tells her, I looked up the death records where the time of death that was recorded for Laura Radcliff was 2:30 a.m. The date was today's date, not yesterday's. And Victoria jumps up so fast. Burke tells her, it's like, well, wait, just phone Collinwood. As chill as she was, just telling that story, man, she is in pure panic mode. She runs over to the phone. Now we're over in David's bedroom again, and you see that clock. It's 10:30 p.m. now. And he is just, like, he's got his book, Mrs. Johnson's back there, and he's got his books open, but holding his pen. He's not doing anything. He's just kind of sitting there. Mrs. Johnson is fed up. She takes David by the ear, stands him up. She's like, You're getting ready for bed. She's pulling out his pajamas, opening them up. She is done. But the phone starts ringing downstairs. David said, I heard something. Mrs. Johnson says, you better hear something, and it better be me, and you better mind what I say. You gotta watch Mrs. Johnson. Oh my God. But David's like, no, I heard it. It's the phone. Aren't you gonna answer it? And Mrs. Johnson, she doesn't know whether to stay there or answer it. She's really torn. She's like, well, you better be in that bed when I get back. David, I will. She's gotta go. She's out the door. And I don't know if this has come up before, so it's well, down in the foyer we get a close up of the phone. It's the phone number is CP4099. I believe that has come up before. Well, they're staying consistent with it. But the phone is ringing there in the foyer. Jump back to the Blue Whale, and Victoria's on the payphone, and she's got Burke and Joe right behind her. And she's like, it's ringing, but no one's answering. So in the foyer, finally, this phone rings for so long. But Mrs. Johnson gets down there, picks it up. And she's, David's fine. He's up in his room. Victoria says, well, did you lock the door when you left? Mrs. Johnson says, well, no, he's getting ready for bed. And hold on, I'll make sure. David? She's calling up the stairs for him, calls his name a few times. No answer. We see into David's room. His bedroom door's open. And he's gone. And we see his bedroom for the credits. Ryan Largent in charge. I know that's right. More power to her. She's a hard ass. This chick is such a good actress. What was it? That you better hear something, and it better be me, and you better mind what I say. She's too cute. She's going off. She does not play like she's known before now that David's usually full of shit, so she's not buying any of his attempts to try to deceive her. And we already know from the show that because that one night she was out, she was visiting her daughter, so she's got at least one kid. Mrs. Johnson, so she was married at some point. I don't think we ever find out what happened to her husband, if he just died, got killed, something like that, and then she ended up working for Bill Malloy for 20 years, so it must have been maybe her first husband went up to sea and never came back, so she was just been a widow for a long time. She does still wear her wedding ring. You better hear something, and it better be me. Better mind what I say. She's one of my favorites. So episode 190 aired on March 17th, 1967. It's still day 44. It's nighttime. And we're in the foyer. We see the grandfather clock. It's 10:40 p.m. And Mrs. Johnson, she's just frantic. She's hollering for David. She's looking out the window in the living room, hollering for David there. Just nothing. Open up the front door, hollering for David. Just nothing. And she just looks and sounds more and more worried each time. And the whole time she's doing this, the phone receiver's just been laying down on the table. So, Victoria's hearing all this yelling through the phone. So we see at the Blue Whale, Victoria is telling Burke and Joe that Mrs. Johnson is yelling for David, and she shouldn't have left him. We're back at the foyer. Mrs. Johnson picks up the receiver. He's gone. I can't find him anywhere. Miss Winters? Miss Winters? And we see the blue whale. We just see the phone receiver hanging down, swinging back and forth. Great visual storytelling. It ran out of there that fast. Anybody would, but damn. So now we're back in the foyer. It's, commercial come back. It's 11 p.m. now on the clock. And Victoria, Burke, and Joe show up. And, Mrs. Johnson's just there worried. And Burke says, well, we would have seen David if he went into town. Mrs. Johnson says, well, maybe he's hiding somewhere in the house. He likes to play tricks on me. She's so cute. But then she says to Burke, did you think Laura took him? Burke doesn't know. Joe says, well, maybe Laura took him or told him to meet him somewhere. Mrs. Johnson says that he kept watching that clock. Victoria says that David mentioned a house by the sea at that seance. And that could be Laura's cottage. So Burke and Joe take off. They're heading there right now. And Victoria's just, worried as hell. She can't do anything. She doesn't know where to look. They're looking in the one place they thought of. So she's just has to stand around and wait. So now we're over at the fishing shack again. There's David. And he's yelling for his mother. Like as if she's inside there. He's just hollering for her. But now we're at the cottage, and Joe and Burke burst in. There's the fire's going, but nobody's there. Joe, that one door that I tell you is a bedroom. Joe goes in there and sticks his head in there to look. He calls it a back room, but it's empty. And that's when Burke notices the fire's still burning. And he's like, he points it out to Joe. He's like, that fire wouldn't be going if Laura left. Tell you what, you go to the greenhouse and check the woods. I'll check the old house. So they both get out of there. Now we're over in the living room again, and Victoria's really looking sleepy. She's just been worried for like 2 days straight. Basically had no sleep, stressed out, so she's looking rough. Mrs. Johnson's worried too. She says, well, if David went with Laura, something bad's going to happen to him. I'm afraid of her. Victoria says, me too. But Roger put her on the bus to Heartland, so she must be there waiting for the train. I don't know where this Heartland comes up. It's not like I misheard. I don't know the geography of the area, but is Heartland on the way to Boston? I guess. But that's what Victoria says. So Mrs. Johnson says that she probably got off the bus before it left Collinsport. Victoria says, well, I'll call the bus station to find out. Mrs. Johnson just has this feeling. She thinks Laura is nearby with David. And then we see the grandfather clock there. It's 11:12 p.m. And now we're at the woods. In the woods, Joe is hollering for David. There's no answer. Burke finds him. He's like, yeah, I just searched the old house. Nothing there. So Joe's, they're trying to think of somewhere else to search. Joe's like, well, why don't we check up the beach? Burke's like, hey, what about that old fishing shack? Sort of, he mentions the beach, so that sort of jogs Burke's memory. Now, at the fishing shack, David was already there looking for his mom. She's not there, but then he hears, footsteps, so he hides. He's always good about, they'll have like these wooden crates, like, maybe they're supposed to go like this, but they're stood up on one end, and they're super narrow, and he's a little kid, so he's just like crouched down in there and just hides in there so well. So my body doesn't move like that. I'm so old. But he hides in there. So we can see him, but the guys can't. It's Burke and Joe walk in, and they don't see anything. There's no light slit or nothing like that. But Joe's like, "Wait, did you hear something?" And Burke's like, "No, it's." Joe says, "What time is it?" Burke, well, it's a few minutes before 11:30. Nothing there, so well, let's just go check the beach. So they take off. And the whole time David's been, crouched down in that little box there. So now we're in the living room. We can hear the grandfather clock chiming the 3/4 of an hour, so it's 11:45. Phone rings. Victoria picks it up. What? I don't understand. Hangs up. Tells Mrs. Johnson, Laura didn't get off at Heartland. She disappeared. But the bus never stopped. So now we're in the fishing shack again. Laura just appears. And David's happy to see her, and she just, appears farther off into the room. And David wants to go. He's been there long enough. Laura says, well, we can't go right now because they might be out there. Oh, you're going to have such a wonderful adventure. Promise me you won't be afraid. We'll always be together. But David's cool with all that, but he wants to go now. He's tired and he's cold. He says, oh, well, if you're here, hold my lantern. She's been holding this oil lamp the whole time she's been there. Just hold that and it'll warm you. So hands it to David. He's holding it with both hands. There's not much heat. Laura says, stare into the flame. It'll warm you. David doesn't want to, but then he starts staring at it. And he's like, I see colors. Laura says, keep staring. So at the living room now, Mrs. Johnson says, well, I'm going to go make us some coffee. So she leaves the room. And now Victoria smells jasmine, and we get that effect again where the edges of the shot get blurry. That must mean Josette's nearby. She gives you a astigmatism or something. Victoria's like, you want me to remember what David said? A little house by the sea. So we're back in the fishing shack now, and Laura's saying that, well, we'll take you to a place where you'll never be cold again. You'll be warm and happy because we'll be together. And David's still holding the lamp, but he's sleepy, so it's feeling heavy for him, and he's, take the lantern, my fingers are numb. And Laura's just standing back there. She's not reaching for it or nothing. So it is a little bit big for a kid like that to be holding on to. But we know it's not going to stay in his hand. So he just ends up dropping it, breaks on the floor. So we got this little, oil, burning up now. Laura says, "Oh, that's all right." David's like, "Fire! We should leave! Run!" Laura says, "We can't. We don't want them to find us. You're safe with me." So we're back in the living room. Victoria's still talking to Josette. We get the, fuzzy edges of the shot. Victoria says, "What house by the sea?" I smell salt water. Or, no, that's salt air. The fishing shack! Is that where he is, Josette? Like she's going to answer her back. But at the fishing shack, there's Laura. She says, "Stare into my eyes, and you'll never be afraid." "You're not afraid, are you?" David said, "No." So she's like, "Let me hold you. We'll be together forever." And then we see the clock in the foyer. It says 11:50 p.m. That is the credit shot. That's a spooky place to be ending off. Yeah, so Dr. Guthrie died in a fiery car accident, and now we have fire burning this wooden fishing shack. And David wants to run out like a normal person, and his mom's like, "No, no, look at it. It's fine. We'll be together. It's cool, man. Don't worry. I'm gonna take you to a place where it's never cold, like Florida." No. So yeah, that's because you would expect, a kid drops something, the first thing you're thinking like, I did something wrong. I'm in trouble. I'm gonna get yelled at. And that's kind of his reaction. And Laura's just standing back there, just totally chill. Like, we know she wanted that to happen, and that's how she comes off. Like, "Oh no, I brought this heavy ass lamp so you would drop it. This is totally cool. Don't worry about it." But she really can't say it like that. Just like, "No, stand there and stare into the flames. Look at the colors." So it's really it's like if you're a kid and you break a window, you think you're gonna get yelled at. Here's the spankings and the punishment. Like, "No, look at the broken glass. It's fine. Look at the colors. Touch it. Just I got it." So really, creepy vibes from his mom. She's never been the type to yell at him or anything like that. But usually, fire bad. Let's get out of here. But just using, like, it was so terrible when she goes to see him in his room, and she's like, "Well, I have to take you away because your dad wants to send you to I was gonna say foundling home. That's not right. Send him to boarding school." Nobody ever said that. You just lied to this kid. What the hell, woman? And because she knows that's what's gonna scare him. He doesn't want to be sent away. He doesn't want to be away from his mother. So she's so damn manipulative. It's so sad because that's his mom. He trusts her. He doesn't like his dad. He likes his mom, and she doesn't. She just needs him for her magic, and not even Burke wants to hang out with him. His mom's trying to set him on fire. Burke doesn't want to take him on his fishing trip. We already know his dad doesn't like him. Dude. Kid David's kind of a dick, but she's a little kid, and you can't be mean to kids like that. Just so it's bad, if you have to break plans with somebody, it happens. Adults can deal with that, but little kids don't understand that. You say something is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and if that's a repeated pattern, then your child is going to learn to not trust anything you say, because, like, "Oh, we're going to Disney World. Oh, we can't. Oh, we're going to Florida. Oh, we can't." Maybe those are both in Florida. Don't go to Disney World. Don't go to Disney World if you have Disney Plus, because if you get sick or die there, you can't sue them. So yeah, it's Laura's really coming into her own. We know she's a pyro. It's like she's trying to get David to be like, if we didn't know that no magic was involved, we would think she was trying to get David to. I don't know if you can make somebody become a pyromaniac, but it's like no, breaking lamps is a gateway drug to it. No, it's cool. Just stare at it. Like the first hit's always free, man. But yeah, that's scary as hell. Fiery car crash. Now you're in a building that's on fire. Get out of there. You can't just go. Shoot. What is it in Minecraft? Like when my house was on fire because I had I had lava too close to the wooden frame. You can't go slash weather clear and. Oh no, wait, that would make the rain stop. How do you make it rain? I've never made it rain. I just let it happen naturally. I'll have to look that up the next time I play. It must be like slash weather. Cause I think you can do differentiate between just rain and a thunderstorm. Oh, that's what I did. I had a lightning rod that I just never used, so I finally set it out in the water, and it's copper, so it will oxidize and change to that cool mint color. So that's the color it was. But I know from videos that when lightning hits it, it takes some of that away to make it look like just copper colored again. And so I'm out there fishing, and I've got it set so it's I just have to turn slightly to see it. And wouldn't you know, lightning hit it right when I was looking at it. Like good, it didn't hit all my massive chunk of trees, and it went from green to orange. Like yikes! And now it just does that now. I don't know if I told you guys about my wood burning, but yeah, I guess I don't have to worry about that anymore. I had a really weird day in Minecraft the other day, but there's no time for that right now. Um, so for next Saturday, I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I'm not sure if it's going to be a review or if it's going to be a balcony chat, just with all the moving that's going to be involved next week. So I mean, either way, there will be a Saturday show. I'm just not exactly sure of the topic, but I do want to always put on a show on Saturday because consistency is the key, and I honestly just miss you guys too much to take any time off from seeing you folks. Like I fell into a bear pit, but it's Saturday, so I got to go live from my phone for 2 hours. It's a bigger sin to miss a show than to do something that's not my usual thing. So yeah, it might be a review, it might be a balcony chat. I'll know for sure on Thursday. Be careful because Mercury is retrograde right now. Smash that like button on the way out. It helps out the channel. Make sure you are subscribed. That also helps out. It'll help you out in case I have to turn on subscriber only chat. Just in case. Right now, everything is totally public, totally free to access for anybody. Because that's how things should be. And again, I do have super chats opened up. It's what's Venmo or buy me a coffee that goes to myself. It doesn't go to hookers and blow or AI content, and it stays in the United States. I read your comments at my next show, so you get to be a part of the show even more. And I'm glad you guys do show up for these. It's great to see everybody. It's nice to hang out in a different place than we usually see each other. Just different vibes. Every single chat room has its own vibe, so it's not necessarily bad. It just different is good. Just different feels. So don't forget your pants. You will need those next week. Oh, Swamp Cabbage, what's up? I said, what's up, Nikki? Hope all is well. Yeah, doing all right. Just trying to get the most get things in boxes for the move. It's not that far. It's kind of just down the road, but it's still like lifting, setting down. It's like opening up Christmas presents that you wrapped yourself so you know what everything is. Kind of boring. Brian says, even if I'm busy, you already know I like the buttons. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, or licked the buttons. Or no, liked the buttons. Okay, you didn't lick them this time. Thank you. So yeah, thank you guys for showing up and letting me put on a show for you guys and talk about my favorite TV show. You can watch it yourself on Tubi or on Internet Archive if you want. If not, I can talk about it here, and I can spoil all the episodes for you first, and then you can see better actors performing it in black and white. But I love seeing you guys again. Oh, Swamp Cabbage, if you were in Southwest Florida, I'd help you pack. Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, you're in Florida? Nice. John Rogers says, have a great night, everyone. Yeah, have a great night. Have a good sleep. Get something good to eat. Smoke out on the balcony. Get something to drink. Take it easy. Keep that thing on you. So stay based, stay sexy. It's the highlight of the week to get to see you guys here. You guys make all of the bad stuff worth it. So thank you guys again. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you. And let me wrap this up before my battery gives me a notification saying it's too low. But yeah, I love you guys. You guys are all great. So thank you for being here. And just for being awesome people. You guys let me be in front of a camera, which seems like what I'm supposed to be doing. It's the most fun. Again, I left my other job 2 years ago. And it's, I mean, it's hard, financially, of course, but it's worth it, spiritually. I don't know. I'm more fulfilled doing this than I was doing at the last job where I was just working for bad people. Swamp Cabbage, smoke it if you got it, but quit cigarettes. They are the suck. Yeah, don't smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes are how you have heart attacks, and hospitals are not your friend. But you guys are my friends. You guys are awesome. Maybe we'll get to hang out with each other one day. Who knows? And if not, we all see each other again at the end. So if you don't give a child a lamp to hold in a wooden fishing shack, keep your promises to folks. Don't promise anything you can't follow through with. Just don't say anything and surprise them with it rather than get somebody's hopes up and just say, oh, we can't because reasons. Oh, one to go to. What's up? Thank you, Nikki. Apologies for lurking. That's okay. Folks are busy this time of night. But yeah, I love you guys again. Thanks for showing up again. Probably repeating myself. That's okay. Swamp Cabbage, I should learn banjo, double bass, electric, or a keyboard. I'm thinking keyboard learning on Yamaha double electric bass. Yeah, learn a keyboard. You can do learn keyboard. I would recommend keyboard, piano, that kind of thing. I started to learn a little bit, but I can't read music. But yeah, music is great. If you can do anything musically, even if it's for yourself, just do it. It's very fulfilling. Art is its own reward. And you guys are a reward for getting this far through life. So again, thank you guys. You guys are all the best. We will get to hang out with each other sometime. Like next Saturday. So take it easy, everybody. And until next time.